Yeah, which I mean, she's amusing, but
Right.
I mean, I don't want to be shameful to anybody, but I mean, the Bachelor men, let's face it, they pick huge majority on looks. And he got rid of so many girls that were so much more attractive that I felt like he even spent more time with, but yet still kept the troublemakers, you know?
Mhm.
So it became a little obvious that that's what this guy was, you know, with some of these girls. And I believe it's the same with every season. It's just obviously this season's in my head because it's just happening. But there's obviously tons of, what do they call them? Like the evil one. I don't know. There's a name.
The villain.
I'm saying evil one, right? The villain of every season. And then that villain usually goes to Bachelor in Paradise with all the other high drama people, you know, and that's the best show because that's when all the drama's thrown into one pool. So, yeah. So that was it. You didn't get picked for Nick Vale's season.
No.
So did you ever hear from them again after that?
No. I mean, pretty much after Nick's season, every lead for The Bachelor or Bachelorette was like 24.
Yeah, I was going to say, Lauren has aged out of that shit.
At that point, they're like,
it's ridiculous.
Made for Nick, but now she's just like grandma. Like she's out.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I'll tell you. That's the one thing this season has really brought, like, this season's Bachelor is that 21-year-old girl whose mother, but he got rid of her, didn't he?
She went home. Yeah.
Oh, she left. That's right. She said, "This isn't for me. I'm not ready to get married."
She said 21. I like have
21.
the vision of not getting married and having kids until I'm at least 25.
I know.
Get on.
Isn't that because her mother's a famous clothing designer?
Mother is Cynthia Rowley.
Which is a TJ Maxx person.
TJ Maxx, yeah. It used to be like I don't know if you'd say like in the 80s, like Liz Claiborne and all those brands that were big then, and now they just.
But you know what? She's working. She's making a ton. Someone has to design clothes for TJ Maxx and sell them for $30. So God bless her, right?
I mean, if someone would pay me $5,000 to do an Instagram for tummy tea or the whitening, I would gladly do it. Like, I was thinking about doing this show just for that. I was like, okay, I can quit my job. I can just make money on Instagram. Like, and it was just starting back then. And
I was going to say social media was still like fairly, like the whole influencer thing at least was fairly new. Did they? Yeah. So, but now, you know, I think everybody that goes on the show has an agenda. Nobody really is looking for a husband, barely. I'm sorry. These girls, this season, these girls are just so, I don't know if it's because I'm getting old, but not only they look so young this season, don't they, Lauren?
Yeah, and they're mean.
Well, I'm telling you, I love that one girl. We both were agreeing she's so gorgeous. Was it Bree?
Oh, Bree. She's definitely, I think she's one of the most beautiful, like just pretty girls.
But it's not even so much like her beauty. She just carries herself very mature. You know what I mean? Like she's just so much above the other girls there.
And that's usually an immediate, you're out.
Yeah. Like her maturity level. It's like she looks and talks like she's really ready to get married and be, you know what I mean? These other girls are just so young and ditzy, and I don't know. It's just really, it's just not only the whole premise of it, a bunch of girls all fighting for the same guy. It's just already, you know, but I guess we just got to get into the whole political and, you know, racist, and there's so much going on to unpack with The Bachelor right now. But Jen, have you read any of it?
No, I know nothing about The Bachelor.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I don't even know where to start with this one. So the Bachelor who's on now is a black man named Matt. He's the first black male bachelor there was already a Black female bachelorette, right? He's the first Black male. And the show has been known to not be very inclusive. It is always a bunch of 25-year-old white girls vying for your typical 30-year-old white guy. They're all the same. Now that we know that some of their houses are fake, we can't say like they're all on the same, families come from the same financial level, because we don't know that now, right, Lauren?
Right.
We don't know that. So, I mean, that's a lot to ask to get the perfect girl with the perfect family. But, you know. So also, isn't a lot of their people that work there white too? It's just a whole big old whitewash.
I believe there's been like one, and I know her name because I've heard about it just through like articles, like I think Jasmine maybe. So there's one Black girl who's in casting or production, and that was it. And there was another girl who was Latina at some point, but it's very like production. I mean, the head of it is Mike Fleiss, who's a white man who's been had a domestic violence disturbance called to his house from his wife while she was pregnant, I think, and she dropped the charges like a month later, which is always telling. And she stayed with him at the time. He's just very.
So the show has been problematic. I mean, not to mention that it's on its 20th season, so times have really changed. But honestly, I remember watching the first one, the very first, when it first came out, and I remember putting it on back then and thinking, "Ooh, this is a little creepy that they have all these girls like chasing for this guy," but I'm up for the drama. But but I also was like, this is wrong. It's so many levels, but I watched it, you know, and they
all had real jobs. Like the guy was like, he ran a winery, or he was a lawyer, or he owned.
Do you remember one of them who the doctor who was on that morning show? He became very famous. He was that doctor. He was like one of the second or third bachelors, and he ended up, he was dating Carrie, the country singer, not Carrie,
Carrie Underwood.
Yes, he dated her for a while. He was a bachelor, but anyway, they did have like the guys back then. It was more. Now it's a whole new level of.
And the women were older, and they had jobs that were like
school teacher,
psychologist, and that was and I remember they used to actually have conversations where they would talk about like, okay, well, you live in LA and I live in Wisconsin. Where would you live? Like, where would we both live? Like, is it that
Travis Stork?
Oh,
yes, Travis. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
2008, they dated.
So they've asked like real questions, and now it's just like there's nothing to it. There's no substance.
No, it is. It's and with everything going on now, so Chris Harris, who's the host of The Bachelor, Jen, he has been from day one. One of the girls on the show had a photo explain the photo. Lauren, you know way more than I do about a Southern. What was it?
So the girl Rachel, she's a white girl. She's currently kind of the front runner, it seems. She got like one of the coolest dates of the season.
Looks like she's 18.
Yes, she's like barely in her 20s.
Yeah.
And they uncovered a photo on her Instagram, I believe, and it was her at the Old South Ball, which is a Kappa Alpha fraternity event. I went to college in the early 2000s. It was an event that was happening at the fraternity on my campus. Like I had friends that went. I didn't go. I wasn't invited.
But you would have.
Maybe.
I mean, you didn't see it. You didn't see a problem?
No, I mean, every fraternity event and party was like, you wear formal dress, you dress up as a stoplight, you dress up as a whatever the theme is. So
Right.
it was kind of, and I, not to take up for Rachel, but I think when you're 18, 19, 20,
What are you? Everybody's going. What do you?
I'm going to wear this dress. It's called the Old South
Mhm.
Ball because you're, you're going to a plantation home and you're wearing this like Scarlett O'Hara dress.
Yeah.
But I mean, I knew better, before
Yeah.
today. I knew better that that's probably not right. And I believe the actual fraternity a few years ago either stopped suggesting that they have the event or maybe mandating what kind of decor and like things you could use involving it. So
Yeah.
it was, I mean,
But it was a customary tradition for years, just like the Washington Redskins had that on, their helmet. I mean,
yeah,
right. And people become more aware and, whatever. And, the climate changes and people learn and people grow and, but anyway, so Jen, this girl, this picture was on there. And explain how did it start? Rachel was interviewing Chris, right?
Yeah. So I think it came about it's like all these sort of web sleuths, if you will, that are just like looking like a Sophia Ross, but like a regular
troublemakers.
They're looking and scouring for anything, and it's kind of wild. And so I think it was a TikTok person who posted a video and she's like, here's why Rachel is problematic. In, high school, this one girl told me that she harassed or bullied other girls for dating Black men in high school. So like that is.
Are you serious?
It's all alleged. It's just
I
heard a story that in high school she did this, and then the photo of her in college, which was like 3 years ago.
Right.
And then so that came out, and so Chris Harrison and Rachel K, who's on the season right now, no one spoke about it. Like it came out, social media is talking about it, Bachelor Reddit's talking about it, all the Facebook groups were talking about it. No one's addressing it. So Rachel Lindsay, who is a first Black female bachelorette a couple of years ago, she now works for Extra, and she was doing an interview with Chris Harrison for the show. And it was actually like, it was an interview that started out for his, I don't know if it's like his wine company or one of his, like, he has a partnership with Manly Bands, like it's wedding ring, engagement rings for men. He just has like a wine company. He wrote a book. So it was actually an interview initially, I believe she said about a partnership. And then she's like, I can't not ask him this question. Like, I used to be, an attorney, went on The Bachelor. People look to her as the voice of people of color of The Bachelor, unfortunately, because she's the only one that's been a lead to date until Matt's season this year. And so she interviewed Chris Harrison and she said, what do you think about it? And he just immediately starts defending, like, one of the things he said, he's like, well, he's like, I don't know what the answer is. You're looking through the lens of like 2018. It was 5 years ago, which we all know that was 3 years ago. But he's like, are you looking at it at the lens of 2021? Or are you looking at the lens of 2018? And Rachel's like, 2018 wasn't that long ago. Like, Black Lives Matter didn't kick off Black civil rights. Like, this is a movement that has been going, and if you didn't recognize that in 2018 that was a problem, so Chris kind of just kept using it and saying like, well, she was in college and she's 2018, and where I think there's, that's in some ways, she could have learned since then and not realized and be forgiven, but she wasn't making a statement yet.
Right, he did.
Yeah.
She wasn't.
So Chris basically is just kind of excusing it, and just he wasn't apologizing for it. He's like kind of dodging it. Basically, Rachel, he had every opportunity in that interview to say, we don't condone racism, and kind of distance the franchise from that. But instead he just kind of excused it. It was like, she's young, whatever. And he actually
True. You're right. Yep. True.
He used the phrase, 50 million people attended these types